Oh, yeah. I am freaking live. I am freaking live. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Silver is down. The world is coming to a fucking end right now. Oops. I said a potty mouth word. Good thing I put this on YouTube for adults only. Okay. Oh my God. This is so terrible. Can you smell my sarcasm? I don't care. I don't care. Why don't I care if silver's down? Because unless you're day trading it like a bonehead, you shouldn't be worried about it. Really, let's not worry about it. Oh, John, how the hell are you? Thanks for stopping by on a Sunday night. Let's see who's on YouTube with me. Anybody? 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 Yep, I got somebody. I hope it's somebody that crossed over. Are up to about 100. Can we be a little bit more specific? 114. Yeah. Oil's up 25% on the day. Holy shitballs, kids. Now, silver is only up negative 3.8%. So it's down. It's down a little bit. Not real worried about it. Should it be up? Well, let's look at the technicals. All right, come on. Boom, boom, boom. Open up. Show me what's up. Okay. RSI is high. That's a relative strength index for those of you who don't follow that sort of thing. Don't worry. That's my job. Got any pets? I mean, does petting myself count? But yes, I do. Why is silver getting hit so bad? Because that's what the charts say it's going to do. Now, if it's, I gotta erase some of this shit. There's too much on here. Oh, that's the wrong way. Go this way and then go this way. All right, so I have a buy signal. And by the way, I don't want any of you people to do this. Don't do this unless you know what you're doing. Swing trading silver, swing trading anything is just insanity, and it's not something you should do. However, if you know what you're doing, the Asian man is not real, it's AI, said it was going to go down a little bit. He explained it pretty well. It's going to bounce. Yeah, that's AI. The Asian guy is an AI, and there's like 10 channels now with the same guy on there. That, by the way, is actually true. We should see a little bit of a correction. Yeah, except for that part where it was going to go to the moon and when it hit 120. We're still well under the 200-day moving average, so don't get your hopes up, okay? That's what I can tell you guys. Don't get your hopes up yet. Look, if you bought silver because the world is coming apart at the fucking seams, good move. Smart. If you bought it because you thought it was going to go up 300% overnight and then you were going to retire based on your, $20,000 investment, no. You don't buy the safest asset on planet Earth and make 1,000% overnight. Does not happen. The fact that we made 100 and something percent last year is, it's fucking great. It's absolutely fantastic. Do I Do I think we're going to make last year 162% again this year? It's possible. Analyzing oil market data, that is true. Why do I have AI on this channel but not on this channel? Yeah, well, the world's definitely going to change. End is a strong word. I will say this, and I've said this many, many times, and this really, really want you guys to meditate on this if you're into that sort of thing. If not, crack open a Pabst Blue Ribbon, grab yourself a Swisher Sweet, go sit out on the porch with all 12 of your fucking dogs, hounds. Look out at that beautiful Chevy four-wheel drive square body with that punched out 383 roller motor that you and your uncle built. And think about this. When was the last time you woke up on any given morning since the day you were born and you had more rights and more freedom than the day before? When has that ever happened? When have you ever woken up and said, damn, I'm so glad they increased my privacy rights and they increased my security and they did all these things without taking anything away from me? And hell, they didn't even raise my taxes. Although, to be quite frank with you, if they raised my taxes, and let's take a little vote here. If they raised your taxes a good percentage, let's say 4 or 5%. Now, come on, kids, that's a shitload of money. If you're making $100,000 a year, or if you and your spouse are making $100,000 a year, that's the decent chunk. But in exchange for that, you were guaranteed complete privacy, complete and total protection online. Like, they built the NSA, but instead of looking in at us, it watched the bad guys solely. And that's all they did, was hunt down scammers and assholes in third world countries. I think you know what I'm talking about. Please, this is not a library. Hello, BB. You're not the BB. BB Netanyahu. That would not be good. I don't think I've ever woken up in all of my well over 35 years now. I don't think I've ever woken up and said, damn, fool me 2 times, shame on me. What a great fucking name. It's true. What about fool me 20x? So, when was the last time you woke up and said, I've got more rights and more privileges? Ever? Has that ever happened to any of us? Now, if you're thinking, well, wait a minute, didn't they allow the Patriot Act to expire? I believe they did, but that's taking away 99 of your rights and giving back 85 of them. So really, you lost 14. I think, if I did the math correctly. Wasn't really breaking my calculator out for that. Let's see. It happened to me when I moved to North Carolina from Massachusetts. Yes, we are an occupied country. We are an occupied country. And who is that occupying force? And by the way, I know that everybody's worried about saying it because you know that when you say it, you basically paint a target on your chest. However, there's something to be said for simply overwhelming. That's right. For simply overwhelming your adversary. Now, there are 330 million of us. If you think that like the what do they call the Haddad something like that. The extremely radical Jews in New York, extremely radical, that believe that the third temple has to be built immediately, because that is how you bring about the end times so that they can get their savior. Their savior ain't showing up until they build that third temple. And somehow there are enough truly deeply stupid Christians that they actually support this somehow. Trump is saving us by sending us to war in Iran. Huh. Interesting. Well, it's a funny thing when you say false prophecy. Somebody just said false prophecy. That's exactly what the Jews think that Christ was all about. It was a false prophet. It's full of shit. Total bullshit artist. He was a scam artist. And he should not be listened to because he is in a very nasty place, burning in a lake of excrement, burning excrement. Now, these are the people, by the way, who have the most influence over the president of the United States right now. They are the ones who decided to go in and attack a country. And we just did it. You need to follow Thomas Clayton Coleman III. And for better reasons than we know. That's sad, man. That's sad. It's sad when somebody who, by all appearances, I mean, you can operate an electronic device, etc. When somebody who appears to be a rational, intelligent human being says, we're not supposed to know. We don't, I'm just a mushroom, man. Cover me with shit and put me in the dark because I don't know. And the people in charge, they know. Okay, well, my IQ is higher than Donald Trump's and Pete Hegseth and JD Vance combined. Most likely. Now, that might not be true. That might be a little hyperbole, but not much. When I was 9, my IQ was 146, and that's based on what they could get me to finish in the IQ test. I was super hyper, so I didn't even finish the test. If I had actually finished the entire exam, obviously my score would have been much higher. So does that mean that I'm better than anybody else? No, I'm actually more of just a big pain in the ass most of the time. And I'm a terrible Trivial Pursuit player because you're either in a subject that I know everything about, or you're in a subject that I care absolutely nothing about. And it would take me quite a while to name a quarterback that's active today. I have no idea. My favorite actors, I can't remember their names. I just go, the guy who was in the dinosaur movie. That guy, Chris something. I like him. He's cool. I don't fucking know his name. Why would I know his name? Now, do I know the speed of light in meters per second in a vacuum? It's like 299,756,480. No. 756,456. I don't know. I'll check, but where the hell is my clicky thingy? Okay. I said 299 million. I'm just gonna pull it up. Speed of light. There we go. I knew it was. You just punch in speed. Let's see. I got a couple of numbers wrong. 299,792,458. All right. So, who came in and trained the cartel enforcers and death squads? special forces guys from the United States of America. Not active duty. I doubt that very seriously. I don't think they were active duty, but there are guys who have come over here from fighting the quote unquote drug war, and they were very disenchanted with the fact that they found out they were fighting in some cases Navy SEALs, and in some cases they were fighting guys that were former Delta. The reality is this: not all of the most badass warriors they don't all have a perfect, moral fabric. Some of them can be bought, and anybody that can be bought will be bought by the cartels because they have so much money. Because Israel is going to unilaterally send a nuclear bomb over Iran. Actually, I don't disagree with him. I think that's true. On the other hand, what you're saying, if you think about it, is we got blackmailed into it because we were afraid that Israel was going to pop off with their crazy bullshit Samson option and actually nuke a country that they don't like. Now, why don't they like them? Well, they do actually fund, from all accounts, they do fund Hamas and Hezbollah. Now, why do they do that? Well, I believe they do that because they know that they have to be the counterweight to Israel in the Middle East, because Israel's plan, very public plan, is to take over most of the Middle East. Now, our thing is, well, we have to help Israel. They just said this the other day, Lindsey Graham and his bullshit talking points. We have to help Israel because it's the only democracy. Wow. Did the word democracy spill out of your Jabba the Hutt fucking face, Lindsey Graham? That's amazing to me. And the reason that's amazing is because there are Christian villages that have literally been, the people have been pushed out of their homes. Now, how were they pushed out of their homes? They were asked politely. No, they weren't. They were beaten with sticks. They had rocks thrown at their head. Their great grandmothers and grandfathers were beaten in the street by who? Settlers. What kind of settlers? The settlers who believe that the West Bank, as with Gaza, is theirs and theirs alone. And they don't want Christians there because Christians are a bunch of lunatics who worship a false god. Why would you want those people in your country? Now, if you think about it for a second, it's like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't sound very democratic. It's not. It is completely and utterly apartheid. We made an emotional decision to declare Israel a state after World War II in 1948. But the reality is, and I know this because I'm the first person in my family to be born in the United States. I, like Benjamin Netanyahu, first generation, he's first generation in Israel because he's Polish. Malachowski, I'm Polish. Ignatowicz was that side of the family. So what did the people in Poland say to the Jews after World War II when they tried to come back to like the Lodz ghetto and things like that? They said, no, you can't come back here. Get the fuck out of here. See, we like to say that Hitler was the only person who didn't want the Jews in Europe. But that's absolutely not the case. And there were people, even in the United States, even in Hollywood, that said, well, Hitler's kind of a wild card, crazy mad dog type, but At least he's taking care of the Jew problem. When you can say that in public, what? Like, wait a minute. How unpopular, how anti Jew was the United States back then? Extraordinarily. Why? Why is that true? Well, it's true because if you're a Christian and you've been taught your entire life that the Jews hate you, and on top of that, they're the ones who killed Christ because they thought he was a false prophet and they think you are full of shit. Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to dislike him really, but you don't want to live with them. Clearly, why would I want to live with somebody who hates me? Why would I want to live with somebody who doesn't see me as human? Do I see Jews as human? Yeah, of course. That's silly. Of course I do. Well, how could you not? You think about it. Like, you see a guy walking down the street, see a girl walking down the street. Now, they might be dressed really weird with some fucking little, coffee cup doily thing on their head. But, a lot of religions have their own weird shit that they do. I mean, the Pope has what looks like a post hole digger hat. That's kind of weird, right? So I don't judge them for that. And I certainly don't think that they're not human. But to find out that they don't think I'm human, well, it just hurts my feelings. In California, and the whole place is Jewish except me. Well, now that, to me, honestly, Gregory, that would be fun. Because I know that half of those Jews would be Reformed, Ashkenazi, European Jews who were about as Jewish as this bottle of water. Yeah, they're Jewish by religion, they're Jewish by name, but like, how hardcore are they? They don't even like chicken soup. Yes, that's a stereotype, and no, I'm not going to retract it. And then the other thing is that half of the Jewish population of that apartment building would be girls. And having grown up in Beverly Hills and Hollywood, I can tell you that there are some very, very nice Jewish girls in the world to this day. Yeah, the Pope wears a funky hat that reminds me a little bit of like the upper and lower Egypt crown. It's kind of spooky. It's like, I don't know if that really helps. Montclair, okay. So I got it. I know exactly where you're at. Montclair is actually a nice little area. It's not far enough east that you're in Riverside or San Bernardino, which makes Gaza look pretty normal. And I'm not joking when I say that, because on every block in most parts of Riverside, there are 4 houses, 5 houses instead of 10 or 12. It seems like every other lot or every 2 lots, the house is gone and it's just an empty lot full of garbage. It's, man, it's an antenna. It looks more like a satellite dish than an antenna. I don't, I don't approve much of the Pope sitting on a 10-foot golden throne. It doesn't make me feel like he's more connected to God. It makes me feel like you're trying to impress people with your lavish lifestyle. That is absolutely the opposite of Christ, which I know the opposite of Christ is anti-Christ. I'm not saying that the Pope is anti-Christ. Now, am I saying that Judaism is anti-Christ? Yeah, they're totally anti. They absolutely hate Christianity. So how could you say it's not? I mean, the word anti means the opposite of, against. So if you think that my religion, if you think that because I believe in this guy named Christ, and I believe that he was a good guy, if you think that I am absolutely wrong. And beyond that, I'm not even human because of it. Well, sorry, but we're not going to be roommates. I'm going to have to find another roomie because that ain't going to work for me. Yep. A lake of burning excrement. Herod and babies tried to destroy our king. Yeah, well, that's the thing, And so, look, what did Jesus say to do? Love thy neighbor, turn the other cheek. But at some point, he said, dust off your sandals, move along. Okay, all right. I'm going to take the big J's advice, the big Jesus in the sky, and I'm going to say, all right, man, I'm dusting off my sandals. I'm done with these guys. What is that, anti-Semitic? Look, let's just say that you're walking home one day, same way you walk home every day, and you see this blind, three-legged dog, and it looks pretty scruffy. And you decide to show it a little kindness because that's who you are. You're nice. You're a nice person. You do nice things for anybody, really. And you lean over to pet this blind three-legged dog, and it bites the shit out of you. Well, I guess the first takeaway is he's not very nice, even though he's blind and three-legged, so walk away. But then the next day, you go back and it's wagging its tail, and you decide to go ahead and pet it. Must be in a better mood today, and it bites you again. My question is, how many days in a row do you help this pathetic little wretch of a fucking dog before you just go, look, I'm not going to kick you. I'm not going to abuse you. Obviously, you've had a hard life. But I'm not going to let you fucking bite me anymore. Just going to walk on by. That little dog that never stops barking and tries to get us to bite everybody for it because it's blind and it only has 3 legs, that's Israel. It's a blind 3-legged puppy that's been neutered, named Lucky. And in a true sense, it is lucky, because guess what? That little fucker has us to fight its battles for it. So its alligator-sized mouth that overloads its little canary-sized ass all the time. You have to remember, 15 million Jews in the world. Now, they shit on the Muslims constantly. They either buy them off, like the Saudis, who roll over and stick their legs in the air like whores, because they are, or if you can't buy off somebody, then kill them. Just kill them. There's 1,000 political assassinations that were done by Israel that are on Wikipedia. They're proud of it. Well, that's the interesting part. Nobody ever accused Jews of being stupid. They are not stupid. 1-800 Cars for Kids, KA Cars for Kids. You know that Cars for Kids ad that you see everywhere? They left something out of that ad. The kids that get that money, only Jewish children get that money. Yeah, 1-800 Cars for Kids. None of that goes to Goyim scumbags. No. Gentile turds, they don't need an education because they're not even human. I'm not joking. That's not a joke. I found this out years ago, and I was really, really disappointed because I thought, Cars for Kids. You donate your car to charity, they turn around and sell it off, and everybody's happy. You got to write off the full value of it, even if it's got a few dings or dents. They got to get free money for a charity that, I mean, who doesn't want to help children? Everybody wants to help children, except for Israeli snipers who shoot them for fun. Oh, I'm sorry. The commander said as a hobby, not misinformation. Sorry, Tic Tac. You can't get me for misinformation. That was actually an Israeli commander in Israel who said that publicly. Let's see. I did not know that fact. Yeah, everybody needs to know that before you do any charity work, make sure your charity is actually getting it done. So in the Talmud, we are dogs to them. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the way that they put it is kind of cute. Really, it's if you were to eat with goyim, you would be. It said something like you would be as well to eat with a dog. And basically what they're saying is, look, if you're going to eat with the animals, just go eat with the animals. You'd be better off just eating with an actual dog than a Gentile dog. So anyway, yeah, fun stuff. And we're ass deep right now in this war. We have no idea what's actually going on. No, there is no penalty for unaliving a goyim because goyim are not human. And the Ten Commandments obviously were written to establish what the rules are between men. I, according to the Talmud, am not a man. I am an animal. Now, I will admit that the average lowland mountain gorilla in the Congo weighs about 300 pounds, and I weigh over 300 pounds right now. And they are very strong, and so am I. So it's good. The death of the Ayatollah is a good thing. Explain that, Greg, because the death of that Ayatollah. Imagine if somebody killed the Pope. Now, I'm not a Catholic. I just consider myself just a Christian, whatever that means. Look, would I go to a Catholic thing because the Catholics know how to party? Absolutely. Would I go to some Southern Baptist thing where it's a bunch of black people screaming and singing and praising the Lord? Heck yeah, I would. Of course, it's fun. Those folks know how to worship. Oh, look at that. I got my access removed. I got kicked off of my big TikTok channel. And why is that? For community guidelines. Okay, what? Misinformation. I got kicked off for misinformation. Now, isn't that strange? That is really weird. Yes, they did cut me off on TikTok. Now, here's the interesting thing. Do I agree with the decision? No, of course not. Does not contain the content mentioned in the notice, of course. And appeal, okay. It doesn't. I was quoting Wikipedia. Okay, there. Now, what'll happen is they'll put me back on in about 20 minutes. Yeah, they cut everybody off. Oh, I know. And the reason they cut everybody off, this is great. They cut everybody off because I was talking about things they didn't like. Now, was I talking about anything that was illegal, immoral, unethical? No, not at all. But that's just how it is. So I had 2,000 viewers over the course of 33 minutes. That's their way of punishing me. 110 comments. That's not bad. All right. Well, let's hope. Let's hope that they decide to do I fish. I'm going to learn how to fish. It's very important knowing how to fish because if you don't know how to fish and the shit hits the fan, and you're smart enough to live near a body of water, then it's a good thing. Oh, what do we got here? What is going on? What's going on with silver right now? Okay, it's at 82. It opened at 83, right? What did it open at? 83 something? For Christ's sakes. 83.40, and it's 82.80. Okay, well, we're back in it. I've got a buy signal, but that's a temporary, very short term buy signal. I've got it looks like a crossover on the MACD and potentially the RSI is still really high. I mean, well, not really high, but it's high enough. It's high enough that it doesn't really give you a straight up answer. You know, when the RSI relative strength index is low and rising fast, that's a good sign. But right now it's fairly high and steady. Now the MACD is just wobbling back and forth, just going back and forth. It really wants to make a break for it. They took out an old man and spurned yes. Well, that's the funny thing. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and go over here for just a moment. And where is how many shit, what the hell? How many Shiite Muslims in the world? Wow. Okay. Well, that's in the one sense it's smaller, but it's still huge. There are upwards of 260 million Shia Muslims in the world. That's about 10 to 15% of all of the Muslim population. The vast majority live in Iran, Iraq, Azerbaijan, and Bahrain, with significant communities in Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, and Lebanon. Oh, well, now that's interesting. What are the differences between Sunni and Shia? Well, or more importantly, why do they hate each other? Is Hamas Shia or Sunni? It has to be Shia. Hamas is a Sunni. Wait a minute. That makes no sense. If Hamas is funded by, well, then Hamas is not funded by Iran, period. Hezbollah is. Okay. They sometimes align themselves strategically against Israel, but yeah, they're definitely like the idea that Sunni and Shia get along. They don't. They've had 7 years of peace, in the entire time since Muhammad died. They just have a very different belief structure. One believes that being the religious leader of Muslims can only be inherited through blood, and the other believes that you should have uh, a, a group of wise people, wise mullahs who rule. That happened right after Muhammad died. And that was, that basically at that point, there was a division that has never been fixed. Could the United States start to heal that division by attacking both of those groups? Oh, yeah. Could Israel force them to get along? You betcha. But I will say this. I think that let's see. Whoa. Wow. Which religion is declining the fastest? Christianity. The largest religion in the United States experienced a 20th century high of 91% of the population in 1976. This declined to 73% by 2016 and 64% by 2022. Wow. That's huge. Now, let's see something. What is the most openly mocked religion? I'm going to have to say Scientology, clearly. What? Rastafarianism? Yeah, but they actually believe that. Like, there's those people. That's sad. All right, so what about um this is really sad. They actually didn't take this seriously at all. Um they're just talking about parody religions. Like which one, like what religions are the most openly mocked? Clearly Scientology. I think Muslims are probably fourth, but Mormons definitely catch a lot of crap. Let's see. Well, religiosity and intelligence. Well, the good news is that the uh, the Nyborg Lion uh, study of 6,800 adolescents showed that the average IQ of atheists was only 6 point higher than non-atheists. Huh? I'll be darned. Shia Muslims make up 10%. Yep. Wow. Okay, so basically, we're in a war now with a group of people, and we just killed the equivalent of their pope. Now imagine how Catholics would feel. Now I know you're thinking, well, there's only 260 million Shia Muslims. There's more Americans than there are Shia Muslims. It's true. And Sunni Muslims, well, they they're not the same. They'd rather talk about money. That's what their thing is. It's like religion, yeah, in small doses it's okay. Although I will say this, the most radical form of Islam ever seen, in my opinion, is Wahhabism. Wahhabism is a form of Sunni Islam that believes that there are no innocents, period, and that if you know someone who is a combatant uh, against Islam and you don't seek to stop them, you are by definition helping them. Therefore, you are a combatant. That's crazy. I know. It is crazy. But sometimes religion can be a little crazy. So, um, would I rather have would I rather have 15 million Jews controlling my life, or uh, 2 billion Muslims? Well, now there's a couple things in the Muslim holy book that I take exception to. I think it's time to remove, since it's very old school and kind of backwards. However, at least they they have sort of a carve out, a cutout in their religion where they say, look, if you're not one of us, but you live with us and you pay a little extra taxes, we'll we'll let you slide. You don't have to convert to Islam. And if anybody ever fucks with us, you're not asked to fight. Neither are your sons or daughters. We'll take care of it for you. Like, we'll go to war for you. In a way, it sounds a little bit like if you operate a bodega in, say, New York, and the mafia comes in and says, hey, you need some protection. Yeah, sometimes you do need some protection. Now, are the police going to protect you? No. No. There are some really good cops out there. Really good cops. Kind of people that you might even call heroes, although they would never let you call them that in public. They would say they're just doing their job. Are there some really, really bad cops that are just either pathetically stupid, just horrifically ignorant, or just pathologically horrible humans, like they're psychopathic or sociopathic? Yeah. As a matter of fact, by percentage, one of the largest groups of psychopaths on earth is found in law enforcement. Because if you think about it, what feels better than being able to say, I am the law? And of course, bullying people and pushing them around and having influence over them, blah, 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 being able to shake down pimps and drug addicts and whatnot. But it's funny because when you look at psychopathy, there's about the same amount of people that are psychopaths in law enforcement as there are in the clergy. Yeah, unfortunately, the clergy's a big hotbed of activity there because, think about it. Being a cop, you are the law, but being clergy, you speak for God. That's like God's laws supersede man's laws. You know what I'm saying? So, and then of course there's politicians. They have a huge percentage of psychopathy, and last but certainly not least, because they have an absolutely enormous, oversized, sort of effect on society, is the E-suite in corporations, the executives of corporations, the CEO, the CIO, the president of a company. These are people that have an astonishingly high degree of psychopathy, and that makes them very good at being very ruthless, ruthless, And, it's funny because we think of them as heroes. Oh man, I love my CEO, he'll do anything to get a contract. He'll do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. That sounds like lying, cheating, and stealing is not above is not an issue. Like he'll do whatever it takes. Yeah, he'll do whatever it takes. Murder, he'll do whatever it takes to get a contract. Oh, okay. He's a winner. He won't take no for an answer. Uh-huh. There's a word for men who won't take no for an answer. And believe me, it's not a good one. So, that's you can take the same set of personality traits that make you an absolutely horrible human being and apply them to being the CEO of a corporation, and they make you a fucking hero. They make you an absolute god among men. That's the scary part is when corporations kill people, nobody goes to jail. So if you're gonna off people, just make sure you do it under the guise of a corporation. If you're gonna poison the Ohio River, just make sure you do it with somebody else. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, I think that covers it. Look, we're putting along with silver right now, and it's not going anywhere in the next few days, maybe the next week. It may start to head up slightly, but we bit off a 6 month jump in the course of a week. Like literally, we went from 30 something to 50 something almost overnight. That shouldn't happen. It should be a nice, slow, steady pace. We broke that. And when you break that, whenever you look at a moving average, whenever you go way above that moving average, you can expect to come back down below that moving average. It's why they call it an average. So we broke way above the moving average. We blew the 200-day moving average out of the water when we hit 120. And as I said, when we were going up that fast, that worries me that we're going up that fast. And sure as shit. Now we're just puttering along at 80. Well, let me see something. Let's go 6 months. Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, let's not do that. Let's go year to date. And let's see what our okay. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, when we started, let's see, 6 months. Yeah, you see, we violate God Almighty. It's so funny though, because you see, you look at the moving average, you see us explode up above the moving average and just going higher and higher above the moving average as time goes on. And then you see it drop down way below. And now you're watching the moving average starting to come down. And we are, let's see, where are we right now? We are right on it, like just right below it. Now, if we break above the 200-day moving average, do I have this set on 200? 180-day moving average. If we're cruising along above the 200-day, then we could start to see some movement. We could start to see some things happen. And is $100 silver off the table? No, not at all. It's going to happen. There's no question. It will happen. Period. question is, will it happen this week, next month? It could be 300 by then, but if it is, it just means that all hell has broken loose. And that's really not what we want to see. It's good for silver. It's very bad for everything else, though. So, in a sense, I hope we see it, but I don't know. I hope we see 300 by December, like I initially said last year. 300 by December would be fantastic. I'd be more than happy with that. Most of you guys, if you're my clients, you got in the 60, anywhere from the 20s to the 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't think I've seen any, but I don't think I have any clients that got in over 100. I think I've got a few that got in at about 100, which, right now, one of my guys just sent me something that said Shanghai's at 94 right now. So we're saying 82, but they're at 94. Reality is that if you want to know what it would take to actually buy it, well, that's a whole other situation right there. Let's see. Let's look at silver rounds. All right. So if you're buying 100 of them, you're looking at $6 over. Basically $6 over. Okay. Not exactly a super discount. Basically, you're looking at about $90. If you want something specific like buffaloes, you're looking at $92.50. So you're looking at $9 over spot. $9 over spot. Ooh, gee, that hurts. Yeah, and that's the part of the problem. There is that we're dealing with an issue. Whoa, 94. That is crazy. So APMEX, if you want to buy their 1 ounce rounds, they're 94.50. That's if you buy 500 or more. They're 95.50 for a smaller amount. So that puts them at $12 over spot. Can't I don't even know where to go with that. No, obviously I'm not even close to that. I'm so much cheaper than them. It's not even funny. That's crazy. $12 over spot. Well, hey, when you're the largest retailer of precious metals in the country, I guess you can get away with whatever the hell you decided. Right? So anyway, all right. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Obviously, if you want some silver or gold, I've got both. Give me a call. Any new clients since Christmas? No, not very many. I have not had a lot of clients since Christmas. And actually, I think it was. Let me take a look. It was actually. Let's see here. 6 months. Oh shit. All right. Let's just go year to date, because it was actually when we came off of the 120 as it was coming back down. So I did have let's see. Yeah, I had where are we at here? What was that? Yeah, February, beginning of February. And that's unfortunately part of the game. When it was going up, I couldn't get it fast enough, and as soon as it hit the top, well, people were like, "Oh, it's never going up again," which is kind of funny actually, because clearly it's if you look at where it was in where is this? It is back to where it was in on January 14th. Not exactly a crash by any means. So I think we're fine. We've had a little bit of a downturn now. It really depends on what happens here because honestly, with the amount of inflation that energy is going to cause, I'll have to think about that tonight. But I got a funny feeling that we could see a huge jump here. Yeah. Yes. No, we're not on daylight savings time. May 1st, now classified as strategic metal. Yes. Yeah, the inventory is running out, but again, that's not going to matter as much as the technicals. The technicals are what's going to drive it here in the United States. Because you got to remember, if you're paying $200 an ounce in Shanghai, but the people in control here can stay in control, they're gonna set the price, and that's what it's going to be. Now, if COMEX breaks, if they actually have to do this, where they go force majeure, that could upset the apple cart tremendously. You could see a huge jump in silver. Now I'm down to 2 because I got kicked off of my original TikTok channel because I said something that was true that they didn't like. So yeah, if they go force majeure, if they can't make the deliveries, if the shit really does hit the fan with COMEX, and keep in mind, guys, do I want it to hit the fan? I mean, obviously, I make money if it hits the fan. You make money if it hits the fan if you own silver. We all want it to go up. Do I want it to jump to $300 over the course of a few weeks because the economy is coming apart at the seams? Not really. And again, did I think that I would make twice as much money if Kamala Harris was elected? Yes. Did I want to vote for her? No. Even though I'd make twice as much money. Think about that for a second. That's walking away from a huge amount of profit. But I did it because I've got kids and they live in this country. And I would rather have a country for them to grow up in than to make an extra $250,000 for 4 years while everything goes completely down the toilet. And then what? Can't live here anymore. Can't live here anymore. I mean, hell, I'm already worried about it. Like, I think about it. If we put boots on the ground in Iran, it'll be the dumbest fucking thing we've done since Vietnam. Definitely. And it could go on for 20 years. Well, I have a kid who's literally 13 and a half now. That means that we've got just over 48 months before he's old enough to draft. And if you look around at the little Pop-Tarts who call themselves boys nowadays, there's going to have to be a draft because nobody's signing up for this war. Nobody's that stupid. They're going to have to revert to something that they called McNamara's Morons, which is, by the way, the part of Forrest Gump that's actually based on a true story. Forrest Gump obviously was fictional, but drafting kids that were extremely low IQ, they actually tried that during Vietnam. They actually lowered the standards from 85 down to like 60. And the plan was born of Robert McNamara, theoretically the smartest guy in the world, but he miscalculated there because they got McNamara's morons to do it, and man, the instant those poor kids hit the pavement over in Vietnam, the casualty rate shot up by 30% overnight. They will get the Kurds to do it. The Kurds will definitely get slaughtered at the border. There's not enough of them. And the other problem is when you arm the Kurds, keep in mind who you're arming. You're arming the one group of people in the Middle East that the largest military in the Muslim world hates. Remember, Turkey hates Kurds. Kurdistan used to be part of Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Yeah, it's all gone now. But the Kurds are still around, and they want their homeland back. And they want to take it back from everybody. So if we send them into Iran and we arm them, guaranteed some of those weapons are going to be used against Turkey. Now, wouldn't that be a splendid clusterfuck of an event? That would be terrible. So I don't think they're going to use the Kurds. The Kurds are basically at this point toxic because of Turkey. Turkey doesn't want them around. So, and Turkey's been extremely quiet about what's going on here. Extremely quiet. They haven't said shit yet. And that worries me. That is something that could really, really, really damage the United States. So, all right, let's do this again tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to find out what's going on overseas because it does worry me. I don't think it could be the end of the world, but it could be the